Hello everybody, how are you? So good morning, good evening, or good afternoon, depending on where you are in the world. It's so great to see so many people here again. So just a reminder, just like usual, if you want to be a premium subscriber and get homework and feedback and lots of fun extra stuff, you can go to the Smrt website and sign up and join. But of course, you can still watch the videos for free. And today we're going to talk about past simple and continuous. We're going to do a little practice and see if we remember all the stuff that we studied last time and the time before. And then after that, I have some new vocabulary words for you. So I hope we have a good time today. Are you ready? Ready? Okay, let's get started for today. Here we go. Okay, here we go. So first, let's begin with a little bit of practice. Practice for past simple and past continuous. This will be a good check to see how much we really remember and understand. Okay, here we go. And if you don't know, that's okay too. We'll review. After we do the practice, we will review and we'll talk about it, okay? Okay, here is our practice for this morning. Okay, practice. It says here, change the verb to the correct form. Past simple or past continuous. And you see we have 8 sentences. The words that are bold and they're all capital letters, those are the words you should change to past simple or past continuous. So go ahead and write your answers in the chat. I'll give you a few minutes to try. Then we'll talk about our answers and we'll talk about why. Why simple? Why continuous? All right, very good. So let me put on some music for you. Here we go. Okay, everybody. So let's take a look and see what we got for our answers. Okay, so number 1 says at 2 a.m. I sleep. So here we're going to use a past continuous, and we're going to say at 2 a.m. I was sleeping. And the reason for this is because sleeping started before and finished after 2 a.m. Because you didn't sleep for just 1 second, right? So at 2 a.m., you're in the middle of this long action. So it was an unfinished action in the past. So good, a lot of people got that one, very good. So number 2 says, after the movie last night, I drove home and this one is going to be went. I went to bed. The reason we use past simple for number 2 is because these actions happened at different times. So first I drove home, after that I went to bed. Also, we know that all of these actions are 100% finished because it says last night. And last night puts all of these in the past. Very good. Number 3 says last summer they buy a tent for camping. And we're going to use past simple, and we're going to say bought. Buy, bought, bought. Buy is an irregular verb, so the past simple looks a little different. And we use past simple because, again, like last night, we have last summer. And last summer is a specific time in the past. All right, a specific finished time in the past. Number 4 says, I watch television when I see a commercial. So here we're going to use 2 different tenses. We're going to use past continuous first and past simple second. So we're going to say, I was watching television when I saw a commercial. And this one's a little difficult. the reason we need past continuous and past simple is because watching television is a long, unfinished action, and in the middle, we have this other action. We have saw. So it's like watch, 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 commercial. Watch, watch, watch. So for our long action, we use past continuous. It's our long, unfinished action. And then we have this small finished action right in the middle. Remember, past continuous is for unfinished, and past simple is for finished. Okay, we have just a few more, and then we'll review all the rules one more time, and I'll answer any questions in the chat. Okay, number 5 says, I live in Spokane now, but I in Japan for 2 years. And we're going to say lived. Lived is past simple, and we know that this is a finished action because now I live in Spokane. Before, I lived in Japan. Now I don't live in Japan, so we know that this action is finished. Our focus is on the finished action. Number 6 says he was singing while he take a shower. And here we're going to say was taking. Was taking is past continuous. And again, taking a shower is a long action. And also we have this conjunction while. And last time we talked about the word while. If you use the word while in the past, the next verb is going to be continuous. We usually use while before continuous. So good, very good. Okay, I have 2 more. Number 7 says she opened her book and she began to read. So we're going to say open, opened, past simple. Because again, we finished opening the book first. After that, we began to read. So we're finished opening the book first. After that, we began to read. These 2 actions happened at different times. First opened the book, second began to read. And our last one is a little tricky because it's something we didn't have time to talk about last time. So our last one here, number 8, says she want a cup of water at 9 a.m. So this one, we're going to use past simple. We're going to say wanted. But the reason for this is because want is a state verb. Do you remember state verbs? I know I've talked about state verbs before, and Mark has talked a lot about state verbs. But if you don't remember state verbs, that's okay. State verbs are special verbs that are usually used in simple grammar, not continuous. Simple grammar, not continuous. Some examples of state verbs like love, like, hate, want, need, hope. Those are a few examples of state verbs. And state verbs, we don't usually use in the continuous. And that's true for present continuous, past continuous, future continuous, present perfect continuous. It doesn't matter. Any continuous, we don't usually use state verbs. We usually use simple grammar instead. Whew. So let me take a moment to look and see if there's any questions in the chat. And then I'll show you the rules one more time for simple and for continuous. All right, let's see. It looks like we have a few questions here. Okay, like CH exclamation point said the second action interrupts the first action. And that's a good way of thinking about sentences like, let's see, this one here, number 4. This second action here interrupts the first action. So we use past continuous for the long action that's unfinished. And then the interrupting action, the small finished action in the middle, is this one right here. So yes, that's a really good way to think about it, is we use past continuous for the long action and past simple for the interrupting action. Good. So Vivek asked a question. I was living in Japan for 2 years instead of sentences. Is this right? So I was living in Japan. So we know absolutely that this is finished if we said a different sentence. For example, I was living in Japan when I met my husband. This would be a good sentence because in this case, I was living in Japan is a long action. And then this right here, I met my husband, is a short action that happened in the middle. So this is a way we could say I was living in Japan. But here, our focus is on the fact that living in Japan is finished. It's a finished action. So here we're going to use past simple. But in this sentence, you could use past continuous. And that's a true story, by the way. I was living in Japan when I met my husband. He's not Japanese, but he was another English teacher. All right, let's look at some more questions. So isn't at 2 a.m. a specific time? That's a great question, Noriko. So let me write that here. So isn't at 2 a.m. a specific time? It depends on how you think about it. Let me write a couple different example sentences. If we said, I started work at 2 a.m., here we're thinking about 2 a.m. as a specific finished past time. But if we say here, I was sleeping at 2 a.m., you're right that 2 a.m. is a specific time, but we do have a special rule for continuous, which is that if the action started before and finished after a specific time, we change it to continuous. So let's take a look actually at our notes here from last time, and we can see that yes, it is a specific time, but we have one extra rule that makes it continuous. So good question. Let's take a look here. So these were our rules for past simple. So past simple, we use for actions that are finished in the past. Of course, all actions in the past are finished, right? If we're going to use past simple or past continuous. But what this means is that at the time we're talking about them, they're finished. So let's take a look at a few examples. So if you use a specific time like last night or yesterday or 2 days ago, we usually use past simple. Like last night, I read a book. Or yesterday, I ate breakfast. But if it were something that started before and finished after that time, we could use past continuous. Because for past continuous, there we go. For past continuous, our focus is on an unfinished time in the past. So if the action started before and finished after a specific time, then we use past continuous. So I know it's tricky because specific time is part of a past simple rule and it's part of a past continuous rule. But it's only past continuous if it started before and finished after. Good question. Okay, let's go back and answer some more questions. So Diari asked, can we say have lived in number 5? Let's look back at number 5. So number 5, I live in Spokane now, but I live in Japan for 2 years. We could say have lived if we delete the for 2 years part, because we can only use, we call this duration, words like for or since with present perfect, if it's something that's still happening right now. Let me give you some examples. Okay, let me write down here. Okay. So I have lived in Japan for 2 years. This would mean I still live in Japan. So this is a possible sentence, but it has a different meaning. Because our sentence before said that now I live in Spokane, we can't use this for sentence number 5 unless we delete the first part. Or if you say, oops, let me actually copy that sentence so we can see that. Here we go. Okay, I live in Spokane now, but I live in Japan for 2 years. If we say just this part, I have lived in Japan for 2 years, then this is correct. But it means that I still live in Japan. Okay. We could also say, I live in Spokane now, but I have lived in Japan without the for 2 years, because then this is an example of present perfect experience. And present perfect experience means that this happened sometime in the past, but not at a specific time. If we use a specific time, we have to use past simple, or if we use like for 2 years or since 1995 or something like that, then it means it's still happening right now. Does that make sense? And we'll study present perfect later in the quarter. I know that present perfect is a very, very big topic and it's very fun to teach. So short answer, nope, we cannot use have lived for this sentence unless we delete part of the information. All right. Some other questions? All right, can we use past perfect tense with present simple? Let's see. We usually use past perfect with past simple and present perfect with present simple. So I'll give you a quick example of that too. And again, that's something that we'll study a lot more later in later lessons, but I'll give you a quick example. Maybe, I am tired because I haven't slept. Or I was tired because I hadn't slept. This first sentence is present simple and present perfect. This second sentence is past simple and past perfect. So usually, if you're using present simple, we'll use present perfect, not past perfect. Okay, so good question. Usually if we're using past perfect, we're going to be using past simple, not present simple. Good, let's see, any more? Any more questions? Oh, so Steve asked a question. I've never say I was living in Japan when I met Noriko. So I was living in Japan when I met Noriko. And let me go back to your last question, Steve. Can we say I had lived in Japan for 2 years before I moved to Spokane? Yes, we could say that. I had lived in Japan for 2 years before I moved to Spokane. Good, let me write these down. So I had lived in Japan for 2 years before I moved to Spokane. And here we used past simple, and here we use past perfect. And this is absolutely okay. That's good grammar. So we pair past simple again with past perfect, and we'll study past perfect a little later. But yes, Steve, that's perfect sentence. This sentence is also really good. I was living in Japan when I met Noriko. So this just means that I was in the middle of this action, or in the middle of this action, I met Noriko. So I lived in Japan for a long time. In the middle, I met Noriko. Okay, so both of those sentences are good grammar. Good questions, everybody. Some high-level questions. Okay, so the streaming has stopped. Oh no, let's see. I hope that it's working again now. If you have any technical troubles, so if suddenly you can't see or something like that, yeah, please write it in the chat. Every once in a while, the internet will stop for just a moment, but it'll usually start again very quickly. All right, very good job. So looks like I got through most of the questions. So let's look one last time at when we use past simple and when we use past continuous. So again, past simple, it's for finished actions. How do we know if a past action is finished? We have a specific past time, like last night, yesterday, or 2 days ago. If it's something that can't happen again, like Michael Jackson wrote some songs, Shakespeare made some plays, Columbus discovered America, something like that. A period of time that doesn't continue now. Like they worked at the hospital for 2 years. If they don't work at the hospital now, we can use past simple. if they do work at the hospital now, we'll use present perfect. We'll study that more later. And then also, if you have two past actions or more at different times, we can use past simple. Like I woke up and I ate breakfast. Means first I woke up, second I ate breakfast. Those are things that happened at different times. And finally, we also use simple for state verbs, because state verbs are not usually used with continuous grammar. State verbs again are like, love, hate, want, need, words like that. For past continuous, we use past continuous for unfinished actions in the past. How do we know if a past action is unfinished? If it started before and finished after a specific time, like it was snowing at 5 p.m. If it started before and finished after another past action, like I was walking and I saw a butterfly. This means walk, 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 butterfly. Walk, 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 walk. So walking started before and finished after saw a butterfly. And finally, we use past continuous if you have two actions that happened at the same time and had the same duration. So two actions that happened for a long time at the same time. For example, she was talking and we were listening. Maybe talking 5 minutes, listening 5 minutes. Listening. Talking 5 minutes, listening 5 minutes. They both happened at the same time. Whew. That was a lot of information that we studied in the last 2 lessons. So let's see if we have any last questions now. Let's see, Donnie D had a question. He asked, have you ever lived in Japan for 2 years? Is this correct? Let me write that sentence. Have you ever lived in Japan for 2 years? It's a possible question, but it's a very unusual question because you're asking, have you ever lived in Japan for exactly 2 years? Like, have you ever lived in Japan for 3 years? Have you ever lived in Japan for 5 years? Have you ever done this action for exactly 2 years? It's a possible question, but it's very unusual. A better question would be, have you ever lived in Japan? And then someone could say yes or no, and then say how much time. Or, did you live in Japan for 2 years? And again, they could say yes or no, or they could correct you and say, no, I lived in Japan for 3 years. This question is possible, but it's just very unusual. These 2 questions are a little better. Good, very good. Let's see. I think those are all the questions. Oh, wait, Stephen has one. If we say they have worked in the hospital for 2 years, it means they're still working there or they have the experience of working in the hospital. Ooh, good question. So Stephen is asking a present perfect question. So let me write the sentence. It says they have worked in the hospital for 2 years. Okay. So we'll study present perfect later, but just some general information. There are 3 kinds of present perfect grammar. There's experience, duration, and the third one has many names, but I call it explaining the present. These are the 3 different kinds of present perfect, or the 3 different reasons we use present perfect. If you say for 2 years, you're talking about duration. So if you say for 2 years or since 2014, you're talking about duration. Duration means how much time. So if you use present perfect duration, the meaning is they still work in the hospital. If you want to talk about the experience, you can't say for 2 years. You just have to say they have worked in the hospital. Like this. And this means they have this experience. Does that make sense, Stephen? So if you say for 2 years, it means they still work in the hospital. If you want to talk about experience, don't say the duration. Don't say the time. Okay. Good, good, good. All right. So I think that's probably a good place to stop for past simple and past continuous, so we can learn new vocabulary. Yay! New vocabulary. All right, let's see how many words we can get through today. Just like usual, I'm going to do 5 words, and then we'll stop, and we'll talk about it. I'll answer any questions. We'll make some examples. Okay, here we go. Vocabulary. Our first vocabulary word for today is accident. So, for example, we have car accidents. Accident is a noun, not a verb. Sometimes students try to use this word like a verb, but it's a noun. So very often we use with the verb have. Like this sentence says, I had a car accident yesterday. I had a car accident yesterday. Nobody was hurt. That's good. Nobody was hurt. All right. So accident's like a crash. Our second word for today is angry. Angry is an adjective. It's a feeling. And it's a feeling like this. So, for example, it says here the teacher was angry because the students weren't listening to him. So the teacher was angry because the students weren't listening to him. Maybe if someone steals your phone, you will feel angry. Mad is a synonym for angry. Our next word is apologize. Apologize is a verb, and it's a verb that we use to mean I'm sorry. So you can say I am sorry, or you can say I apologize, because apologize is a verb. Or our example sentence says, I want to apologize to you for what I did. I want to apologize. This means I want to say that I am sorry. All right, we have 2 more, and then we'll stop. We have the word borrow. Borrow is always a difficult word for some students. Borrow and lend are very tricky. They're both verbs. And let me take a moment here to talk about borrow versus lend. Borrow is similar to take. It just means take for a short time. Lend is the opposite. Lend means give for a short time. So just remember, borrow means take, lend means give. So borrow is take, 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 take. So let's look at our example sentence. May I borrow some money? Means may I take some money for a short time. I will give back the money later. All right, good. I think we have one more. Box. Oh, that's an easy one, I think. So box is a noun. And we have a picture of a box right here. And it says, when I moved, I put all of my clothes in boxes. So usually boxes look just like this. A box is something that you can put other objects in. It's a kind of container, if you know the word container. So let's take a quick review. We have box, borrow, apologize, angry, accident. So let's see if we can make some example sentences and see if we have any questions about these words here. Okay, let's take a look. Dun, 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 dun. Okay. We have a few example sentences. Oh, I accidentally scrolled down. Oh, oh, here we go. Very good. I accidentally love her. Good. Here we changed accident to the adverb form, accidentally. So good, good. If you want to keep it as a noun, we could say maybe, for example, I love her by accident. Meaning that it was not your intention. So good, very good. Let's see, she was angry. She was angry on me. Although we're not going to say on, we're going to use a different preposition. We're going to say with. So different feelings use different prepositions. So angry, we use with. She was angry with me. Or it's also possible to say at. Angry at me. But we can't say on. Good, very good. I act angry when she don't reply to me. Oh, it's a sad story. I act angry when she, I'm just going to change don't to doesn't. Doesn't reply to me. Very good. Good example. We have, I apologized to Rose yesterday night for Joshua's class. Oh no, I don't know what happened in Joshua's class, but I'm happy that you apologized. That's very nice. I borrowed knowledge from Rose and she lent me a little. Very good. Oh, and this reminds me, lend is an irregular verb. So lend, lent, lent. It's an irregular verb. But borrow is just a normal verb. Borrow, borrowed, borrowed. Oh, good, good. Let's see. I will pack all my old clothes in the box. Very good. Oops. There we go, in the box. Very nice. Oh, hello, the people who just joined us. Welcome. We're writing some example sentences for vocabulary. We have he apologized. And then for present simple, we can add an S here. He apologizes for his mistake. Very nice. I borrowed my car last weekend. Although we don't want to say I borrowed my car. because it's mine. You don't have to borrow something if it's yours. We could say I borrowed your car, or I borrowed his car, or I borrowed their car, or I borrowed her car, for example. But you can't borrow something that you already have, so we can't say my car. Good, very good job. Let's see, so someone asked, I borrow your shower. Is this okay? It's a little unusual because really we would probably say I used your shower because we didn't take it with us anywhere. But sometimes in casual speech, someone might say that. Sometimes even people will say, hey, can I borrow you for a few minutes? But it's very casual. So most likely we would say, I used your shower, not I borrow or I borrowed your shower. Good question. Let's see, the box is made of wood. That's a good one. The box is made of wood. And I had to apologize to my sister for misplacing her mobile phone. Very good, nice, good spelling too. Let's see, which reminds me, apologize has different spelling in British English and American English. Sometimes in British English, they put an S here. But in American English, we use the Z, the Z. And that happens a lot for British and American English. There's some small spelling differences. Good. Put my jewelry in a box, but I forget where exactly I put it. Good example too. So those are all great examples for these words. Let's do a few more. Let's do 5 more words. Here we go. We just studied accident, angry, apologize, borrow, and box. Our next word is bridge. Here it says, from the bridge, you can see the city. A bridge is like a road or a street, usually over water or over another street. It connects 2 pieces of land together. So some famous bridges, like we have the Golden Gate Bridge in San Francisco, or there's the King Fahd Bridge, for example, connecting out of Saudi Arabia. Those are some examples of bridges. Oh wow, our next word is bullet. Bullet is a noun, and it says there are 6 bullets in the gun. So you can see here, this part right here, this is a bullet. Bullet is the small thing you put inside of a gun before you shoot the gun. It's what comes out of the gun when you shoot it. It's a bullet. Our next word is catch. Catch is an irregular verb. So for example, the past and the past participle look a little different. So catch, we're gonna say catch, caught, caught, because catch is an irregular verb. Catch, caught, caught. So past simple, caught. And this is a verb. Let's go back to the example. It says here, I tried to catch my train, but I was 2 minutes too late. Catch has a few meanings in English. One meaning is like this. If something is in the air and you grab it, this is one meaning of catch. But this example has a different meaning of catch. If you catch a bus, or catch a train, or catch a plane, it means that you don't miss your bus or your train or your plane. So catch a bus, for example, means that you don't miss your bus. So for example, I caught the bus at 2 p.m. Or I ran, so I was able to catch the bus. Something like that. It means that you didn't miss the bus. You were able to take, ride, or use the bus, plane, train, etc. Okay, we have 2 more words. Our next word is climb. The B is silent, so just think climb. And this is a verb. Our example sentence says, I loved to climb trees when I was a child. Climb is like this. So we can climb a tree. We can climb a ladder. We can climb a mountain. So climb means to move upwards, usually something that's very tall or very difficult to move up. We climb trees and ladders and mountains. One more word, common. Common is an adjective and it means normal or usual. So for example, it says that fruit isn't very common in my country. So this fruit is not easy to find. It's not normal. It's not usual in my country. So for example, my name, Nicole, is common. It's a common name in the United States. This means that it's a normal name, it's a usual name. Many people have this name. Mark, Sean, Josh, they all have common names too. Teacher Neil, Neil's name is a little bit uncommon. Not so many people are named Neil. All right, so let's go back and look at these words. We have common, climb, catch, like catch a bus, bullet, and bridge. All right, let's look at the chat and see if we have any good example sentences or any questions to answer. So let me scroll back a little bit. All right. Oh, and it's okay if you're late joining the group. You can always join anytime. You never have to apologize for being late to class. All right. So love letter bridged me with her love. Oh, that's cute. I like that. Oh, Steve had a question. Steve asked, I heard some people say in a casual manner, I think, may I borrow your phone? He only wants to use it for a short while. Is it okay to use borrow here? Yes, may I borrow your phone? This is exactly what you should say if you want to use the phone for a short while, because you do take the phone in your hand and you use it for a short while. So may I borrow your phone? Perfect, perfect sentence. Good, let's see. The bridge was destroyed by a strong flood. Good example. Good. Let's see. Dental bridge, is it okay? That's a good question. So a dental bridge, it's a little hard to explain, but if you go to the dentist and you need almost like extra teeth, they can put a bridge inside your mouth. It's like when they add, it's a little hard to explain a dental bridge, but yes, that is the correct term. So if you have studied dentistry before, maybe you've heard the word dental bridge. And this is just something that you can get at the dentist. If you have some missing teeth, for example, you can get a dental bridge. All right, good question. Let's see. China's glass bridge is the highest bridge in the world. Ooh, that's a good sentence. China's glass bridge is the highest bridge in the world. That sounds very scary. Good. You have to bite the bullet. Oh, good. That's an idiom. You have to bite the bullet. So if you bite the bullet, it means that you have to do something even if you don't want to do it. You just have to be strong. So good. That's a good idiom. Very nice. So, her eyes act like bullet when they shine under morning sun. So let me write that one. That's cute. It's a very, very dramatic image. Let's see. Her eyes act like bullets. I'll make it plural because we have two eyes. Like bullets when they shine under the morning sun. Oh, wow. Very, very poetic. Let's see. In the picture, there was the Brooklyn Bridge in New York. Very nice. I have to bite the bullet and say nothing. Good example. The same idiom. Very good. I caught a horse yesterday. So good. We can say that. I've never heard someone say caught a horse before. Usually we say I took, but I suppose it's possible because it is a type of transportation. So especially if you have many, many horses in your country, maybe that's possible to say I caught a horse yesterday. I catch the bus. I couldn't catch the bus. Good. I didn't wake up early, so I couldn't catch the train. That's good. I love to catch her a glimpse in class. Ooh, catch a glimpse is another idiom. I love to catch, I'll say a glimpse of her. A glimpse of her in class. A glimpse, if you don't know that word, a glimpse is a short look. A short look. And catch a glimpse is an expression, an idiom in English. Very good. Hurry up, we have to catch the train. Good. My eyes caught Smrt class when I was struggling to learn English. Ooh, I like that one too. I want to catch up with my homework. I am way behind. Ooh, this is another one. Another useful phrase. I want to catch up with my homework. I am way behind. Catch up is a phrasal verb that uses the word catch. And if you are behind in your work and you want to not be behind anymore, you want to catch up. So catch up is the opposite of be behind, but for work, usually for work. So good, very good. All right, we're gonna climb a mountain next week. Oh, so Donnie D asked, what is the difference between climb and climb up? So let me write this question. What is the difference between climb and climb up? So climb up is almost the same meaning. Let's put a couple example sentences here. So we can say, I climbed the mountain. I climbed up the mountain. Really, they're almost exactly the same. I climbed the mountain. I climbed up the mountain. The up just stresses this idea of verticality. So really it just stresses this idea of up, the direction of going up. But really it's almost exactly the same, climb and climb up. So climb up is just a phrasal verb, but the meaning is almost 100% the same. Wow, interesting. Good question. I'm going to climb to the moon just for her smile. Oh, that's romantic. Good. I have broken my hands because I climbed a tree. Oh no. But good example. Climb up, climb down. Good. So that's a good point, is climb up is the opposite of climb down. Because you can climb in two different directions. If we just say climb, it means climb up. But if you want to point out that it's the opposite of climb down, then we could use it. For example, we could say, I climbed up the side of the building and then I climbed down the ladder. For example, if you climb up and then climb down. So that's really probably a good reason why we would use climb up, is if we want to separate it from the idea of climb down. Because climb and climb up really have the same meaning, but because we can also climb down, sometimes we use that to separate the meaning there. So good, very nice job. Let's see. Oh, and then the French Leo said, yes, you can borrow a mobile phone because you can move it, but the shower is harder. So answering Steve's question from earlier. So very good, that's a good way to explain that. All right, so let's see, any other questions or examples here? I don't see anybody giving us examples for common, so I'm going to add a few sentences here. I can say, my name is common in the United States. Let's see, what else is common? Maybe cereal is a common breakfast food in the United States. Coffee is a common beverage in the United States, but tea is more common in England. Good, very good. All right, so looks like we're just about out of time for today. So just to review, the last 5 words that we studied were bridge, bullet, catch, climb, and common. So I want to say thank you very much for today. And again, if you're interested in becoming a premium subscriber, please join. We'd love to have as many people as possible. And thank you for joining us today. It's always so great to see everybody. So I hope you all have a wonderful day. Thank you so much. Goodbye. Bye from Spokane, Washington. Bye-bye.